So hi, welcome to End Credit Reviews on episode After the Credits on End Credit Reviews. This is Tyler this time from End Credit Reviews, and this is my review on the movie The Outpost. So The Outpost is a movie that is based off a true story. Back in the late 2000s, I believe so, in Afghanistan, there is this military base. Basically, it's at the base of this kind of mountainous ridge area, and the movie pretty much shows, at least the second half of the movie, shows a bunch of Taliban members attacking members of the American military. Now, this movie has been out for a while now, and I wasn't really aware of it until a coworker of mine recommended the movie, so I wasn't aware of it until he brought it up, so I watched it, and it's actually pretty good. I really like this one a good amount. And I mean, in a way, the movie definitely reminded me of another movie based on a true story called Zulu from the 1960s with Michael Caine. That was sort of similar in a way, where in that one it was about British soldiers in the 1800s fighting against a bunch of Zulu warriors. They're outnumbered. I mean, the British soldiers were in the hundreds, but the Zulu warriors were in the thousands. And this one, it was kind of a similar situation, but I don't necessarily believe that there were thousands of Taliban soldiers storming the roughly 100 or how many there may have been at this military outpost. And I really love the visual shot where we see just how much they're surrounded by this mountain ridge. And I'm thinking to myself, why do they have this base right here? This is one of the worst positions to have in terms of a militaristic strategy, because you do not want your base right there, because you want some place with good elevation or high ground of some sorts. I have no idea why. Again, Zulu is a movie based on a true story. You think that people would learn from history and not build a military base at a valley, like at the base of this whole mountain ridge. I don't know, maybe it's an opium trade going on there, as some people have suggested. I don't know, but when it comes to the cinematography of this movie, I thought it was very impressive how many extensive cuts there were. They weren't trying to be 1917 where they made the movie look like it was done in one take. In this one, there are various scenes that go on for probably 30 seconds to a full minute without cutting, and I thought that was very impressive. And I love that there wasn't really any stupid shaky cam or trying to confuse the audience. It was very well timed and practiced, and I have to really give my props to the cinematography, the directing, and as well as the actors in the movie too. This movie was directed by Rob Laurie, who previously directed the 2011 version of Straw Dogs, which is a movie I thought was pretty okay and average, and I think most people have forgotten that movie even exists. But this is definitely a really good movie and really a step up from that previous movie that I've seen from him. But with the cast themselves, I thought that Orlando Bloom was pretty good as Captain Benjamin Keaton. I'm not so sure if I'm pronouncing the last name right, but he wasn't in the movie that much. But personally, I think Orlando Bloom is much better as a supporting actor than a leading actor, because I really liked him in the Pirates of the Caribbean movies as well as the Lord of the Rings movies. However, when he tries to play the lead character in a movie, especially in Kingdom of Heaven, he can't really necessarily lead a movie, but he's definitely really good in the supporting role. I also like Scott Eastwood in the movie at times. I could definitely tell, like, with his facial expressions and kind of his mannerisms, he definitely was kind of reminded me of his father back in the day, Clint Eastwood, during his Dirty Harry days. So I thought that was kind of cool seeing him in a pretty good movie for once. And also I felt like his acting was pretty solid too, as well as the other cast members in the entire movie. The action was pretty unrelenting. I did like how in the first half of the movie we got to know these characters and we got to kind of care about them that way. And then the second half of the movie is when stuff really goes down. It's pretty action-packed, and there's not really a dull moment in this whole movie, despite it being roughly 2 hours long. But I will admit that the whole action scene when the attack in the base does happen, it did feel a little bit like the pacing kind of overly, stretched a bit. And also I felt like a soundtrack could have really boosted this movie in terms of quality. But other than that, I do think The Outpost is a pretty solid war movie based off a true story movie, and although I do prefer the movie Zulu over to this one because they're both based off true stories and they kind of both have very similar battle scenarios happening, but I did like The Outpost because of the cinematography as well as the acting in the movie and the action. But yeah, it does suffer a bit at times from, again, a lack of a musical score, as well as some of the other characters kind of do blend a bit at times, where they kind of become a little bit interchangeable. As for The Outpost, I would give it about 3 stars out of 4. So anyway, this is Tyler from End Credit Reviews, and I hope you enjoy this episode of After the Credits on End Credit Reviews, and I hope to make a lot more in the future. Please like and subscribe.